Yo, what up? What up? What up? What's going on, everybody? I'm excited for tonight's episode of the Think Big podcast for two reasons. One, because we got it started on time. Actually, we're 2 minutes late. So I retract that last statement. But I'm really excited because we get to try something new out, which is if you use StreamYard, they just added a new feature which lets you stream your stream directly to Instagram Live without giving it that weird, distorted look that it always used to get. So I'm pretty excited about this, which means we are live on Instagram right now. However, if you're on the Instagram channel and you want to shoot over to the YouTube channel, if you're on my Instagram, you should be able to just comment the word YouTube and that should bring you over to the YouTube channel, or just come find me on YouTube. Like, look at my last story. I've dropped the link there. But I'm excited about tonight because also I just realized Alejandro says ignore in his name. I'm excited about tonight for this one reason. We're going to be talking about social media. And we're going to be talking about how to leverage social media. Between myself, Alejandro, and Sam last year in 2023, and actually, I don't know what Alejandro's numbers are. I don't know what Sam's numbers are. I know last year I looked at my profit and loss statement, and I was fortunate enough to do over seven figures, just shy over it, like $1.05 million in revenue. And I would have to say 90%, if not more, 90% of it came as a result, as a direct result to social media. And this is from somebody who does not have a ton of followers. I only have about 7,000 followers on social media across my platforms. So I don't have a lot of followers. And I want to talk about really the intentionality behind social media, the thought process behind it, the perspective on it, and ultimately how we're going to use it this year going into 2023, or I'm sorry, 2024, and really how some of you can do the same. Because I think when people think about social media, they think they need to be this massive macro and micro influencer, and you have to have 10,000 followers or 20,000 followers or 100,000 followers. And that's just not the case. I started leveraging social media to raise private capital, to buy deals, to do everything in my business, and ultimately changed my life back when I had just a few thousand, maybe 2,000 or 3,000 followers on Instagram and just maybe a couple of hundred friends on Facebook. So I'm excited to talk about that. But before we get into it, Alejandro, how are you doing? And also, what up, Tavion? I'm just seeing the chats inside of Instagram. I'm curious to see if we get to see it on our side. I see mostly the chat inside Instagram. And also, what up, Sean Clark? What's going on, y'all? Guys, if you're in here, by the way, drop a comment. I want to know who's in the audience. I want to know who's in the crowd. Drop a comment if you're hanging out with us tonight. But Alejandro, how are you feeling tonight, man?
I'm feeling great, brother. I'm feeling great. Definitely excited for this year, and the year's moving on. It's been a great start, brother, and learned a lot from last year, which I'm excited about. So I'm super pumped up to talk about the social media stuff because I need to get way better at social media.
Yeah, you think so? I feel like you leverage your social media pretty well, though.
Thank you, thank you, my friend. But not as good as you, man. You have some really dope stuff on there.
Yeah, man. So, real quick, I gotta know before we continue. I'm so curious. I see the nose strips everywhere now. Like, I've been wondering, what do they do? Because, I mean, Alex Hormozy was the first person I ever saw rocking them, and I can't lie. Like, I'm one of those people. I get curious. I see something like that, and I'm just like, what's it do? Like, I hate feeling like I'm missing out on something. Like, because I'm working on breathing through my nose more. Like, is that gonna help me breathe? Like, what's it do?
It does. It does help you. So I started do. My mom used to put no strip on me when I was little because I used to like to sleep with my mouth open for whatever reason. So she started putting no strip. Then when Alex Hermosi came around, I'm like, okay, I guess it's not weird anymore to have your nose strip everywhere you go. When I go to the gym or Starbucks, people will be like, "What happened to your nose? What happened to your nose? Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah." What do you mean? It's like, well, you have this black strip over it. Is that like for like what's that thing called? Like to clean your nose or something? I'm like, no, it's just to breathe better. And he set a point on Instagram, not on Instagram, on YouTube, because I do a lot of meditation, Marlon. So anything that gets anything that gets you to have more oxygen towards your brain, it's beneficial for you, especially to have a clear mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So when you put the nose strip, it helps you breathe better. It just opens up. It stretches your nose a little bit wider, so the air can just come in a lot smoother.
So it stretches your nose wider. So like it's literally like opening up. I'm curious. Like
Yep. Yep.
Interesting. Okay, cool. I mean, brother, I've been curious about it. I've been seeing them. I only have ever seen people on social media with it. I've never actually seen someone I know. So I've been like waiting for this moment to ask a person, what does it do? Like, what is it for? I got to go try one out because I am very heavily focused on nasal breathing. In fact, yesterday morning, Daryl and I, we do our 5 a.m. workouts, and I challenged him. I said, dude, I want you only breathing through your nose. I was listening to an Andrew Huberman podcast where Andrew was actually talking about the fact, check this out, that nostril breathers compared to mouth breathers are seen as more attractive, right? And it was interesting. I was like, huh. And the rationale behind it is when you breathe through the nose, it causes it's a different shape of the jawline between breathing through the nose, chewing heavier foods, right? Like eating steak and like consuming your food that's more chewable. Like it works the jawline, it works the nasal passages, it works the muscles in the neck area and in the face very differently that just start to form what we consider a more attractive face. So I'm guessing Sam Singh must like breathe through his nose only because I mean that is just a handsome dude, right? Like I heard if you say his name 3 times fast, he appears on camera, right? Sam Singh, Sam Singh, Sam Singh.
You know, Sam reminds me of Squidward when he became a perfect model. That's what
Bro,
Sam reminds me of.
pretty
Perfect
Sam,
dude
yo.
walking around.
Freaking love that. So let's bring my man Sam up. Or I brought him up. I don't know if he wanted to be brought up, but I brought him up on stage because I don't know if
I
he
have a
came in
question
through
for you,
the
Marlon.
peasant past.
I have a question for you, Marlon.
Oh, go for it. Go for it.
The cold plunge. I've been doing the cold plunge thing, and now it was like 14 degrees in Texas. It actually snowed yesterday or 2 days ago. My cold plunge has ice in it. But for someone that's only has a week of experience, do you recommend going into a 30 degrees cold plunge?
Great question. So this is an awesome side note, like an awesome little thing. I would recommend, funny enough, you actually let the temperature be warmer. And here's why. The cold plunge, what happens is you start to adapt to the temperature rather quickly. And there's a certain temperature that you can get to before it starts to get dangerous. Typically, you don't want to actually go below freezing temperature. You don't want to actually, like the water, usually the surface of the top of the water is frozen, but the water beneath it is a little bit warmer. That's why it didn't freeze over yet into a block of ice. So the water down below is probably like 34 degrees, 33 degrees. But I would recommend, if you can, get the water closer to 45, 47 if you're new to it, because as your body starts to adapt to that 47, 45 degrees, you can begin to bring the temperature down further to continue to get the effects of the cold plunge. Because ultimately, once your body adapts to it, you stop getting the same benefit. There's a shock, there's a discomfort. The fact that you don't want to be in that cold water, the fact that it is uncomfortable is doing a lot of the benefit for you. In fact, there's a muscle inside of the brain. I'm forgetting the name of it. Huberman was just talking about this recently, that grows only as a matter of a response to you doing something that you do not want to do. Not that you're doing something hard. It's that you're doing something that you do not want to do. So if you ran 10 miles, but you enjoy running 10 miles, this muscle actually does not get any stimulation. If you absolutely hate running and you ran 10 miles, this muscle will be stimulated to the max. This is like one of the coolest things out there, because now we're starting to see that your willpower is it's a muscle. It's no longer this kind of, pie in the sky thing, right? It's no longer ethereal. It's very physical. It's a very real muscle inside of your brain, inside of your body, that actually gets stimulated. So I love that. But hope that answers the question, Alejandro.
Yeah, so I shouldn't do it.
Yeah, no, just warm up the water a little bit and then get your butt in there. Okay. But dude, let's start talking about some real quick, actually, before we get into it. Sam, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing amazing. Absolutely amazing. I haven't been with you guys in a couple of weeks. Last week I was on tour. I was out traveling and speaking on stage. So it is amazing to be back into some form of routine. And oddly enough, guys, we talk about routines like morning routines and all these things. The Think Big Podcast Tuesday at home has become a part of the routine, and it feels damn good to be back. And Marlon, you and I are going to be traveling for the next week together again, doing a bunch more shenanigans all across the country. And you know what? We're going to have a great time. But even next week or the week after, I can't wait to get back home to do Think Big. Not from the road, not from the sky, not from anywhere else, but home. It actually feels really damn good to be back today, actually. So I'm stellar, man.
Yep. Well, Sam, next week we will not be home during the Think Big podcast. We will be on the road. Just a reminder. So it's going to be the following week, and I'm looking forward to that as well. Getting back into the routine is amazing. Also, before I forget, Mario on Instagram answered my question. It's the anterior amygdaloid cortex, right? So I can't pronounce that middle word, but it's the AMC. The AMC is that muscle in your brain that actually gets stimulated when you are like Alejandro and you discipline yourself to go and do the hard work. When you're like Sam and you discipline yourself to go and do the hard work. But tonight, let's make this conversation very valuable to the audience. Let's make this about them, because we were on a call and we were just chatting about things that worked well for us in 2023, things that we reflected on, and we started to come to this realization that, something that was a major tool, right, a force multiplier in our business, in our life, was this thing, right? Like the cell phone. And more importantly, just like really 2 or 3 apps on this cell phone, mainly Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And I want to talk about that from a principle standpoint, from an understanding, and even give a little bit of an example of how it benefited. I can share how it benefited me. I would love to know from Alejandro and Sam how it benefited y'all directly. And then also start to talk about some of the perspective shifts that I think people should have towards social media and its importance inside of their business. So I'm going to start off by saying I'm not telling anyone here that you need to become a social media influencer. I'm not telling anybody here that social media is going to work for you only if you have 5,000 followers or 10,000 followers or 100,000 followers. I'm talking about a very practical way to leverage your already existing network and how to be intentional about how you show up to those people. This is really what I want y'all to take home. If you're a note taker right now, I want you to write down on the top of your paper, I will be intentional in 2024 with my social media. Again, I want you to write that down. I will be intentional in 2024 with my social media. So, what's up, Sam?
One thing that I've realized about this podcast, through this podcast, is that we've become really big on doing one thing before we go any further. That's laying a foundation in a definition. You're saying this word, what intentional? Describe that. What does that mean? Do they have to sell shit? Do they have to become gurus? What is the intention? Define intention for these folks.
I'm happy you said that, Sam, because intention, the definition we're going to use here for the word intentional is going to be very simple. It means we are going to define our desired outcome for the activity. So in this case, when I say I'm going to be intentional about my social media, that means if he's sitting by himself, I'm going to ask myself, okay, what would I like to gain as a result of leveraging my social media? When I make a post on Instagram, when I make a post on YouTube, what am I optimizing for? What do I want to collect as a result of putting the input of content online? Whether it's a good morning post, whether it's a breakfast food post, whether it's a here's my deal. Am I trying to get likes because I want social validation? Am I trying to get the attention of my ex-girlfriend? Do I want to raise private capital? Trust me, I know why people post sometimes, all right? I've seen some of the thirst traps out there. I know why y'all are posting. So what do I want? I want to define the desired outcome for the input. That's what it means to be intentional. Because now once I know what I'm looking to get from it, and I have to explain this because sometimes, not even sometimes, I would say 99% of the social media content I see online, there's zero intentionality behind it. People don't even know why they're posting. So intentionality is understanding why you are posting. What do you want to get in return for this content? This is an exchange. So Sam, did I do a good job at like defining intentionality for the sake of this conversation?
So good. That was perfect.
Bro, I freaking love you, man. Do y'all see why I like being on calls with these two? Because we lay this foundation. We lay the runway before we take the plane off. Now, bringing it back to that intentionality and being intentional with the post, we have to think we're on here as entrepreneurs and our goal is to grow our business. There's a multitude of ways to grow our business. However, they all have a unifying factor, which I became aware of, which is every business, and we've spoken about this, I think, on like episode 20 or something like that, that every business, you cannot name a single one that doesn't involve a transaction between two or more humans. Not a single business under the sun. And social media happens to be the place where all the humans hang out online. It's the place where your potential customer is, where your potential investor is, where your potential JV partner is. And so it only makes sense that when I go on social media and I'm in the season of growing my business, that I would start to think about, hey, how can I create content that speaks to the other human that I need in order to grow my business, that speaks to them in such a way that they ultimately would like to transact with me as a partner, as a client, as a customer, as a buyer, as a seller, as a lender, as one of these things that I need inside of my world so that we can both make money together, that we can both grow together. That's the first foundation for being intentional about social media for 2024. Last year, when I got serious about this, here's what I decided. And if you guys scroll through my Instagram, you can tell when my intentionality changes based on what I'm posting and talking about. At the beginning of 2023, I decided I needed more properties. Therefore, with my very small, very little following of just a few thousand, I don't even think I had 5,000 people at this time last year. So a little less than 5,000 people. Right, which is, by the way, most of you have more than that on your Facebook. Most of you have already surpassed 5,000 people, and people can't even friend you anymore on Facebook. So many of you already have a larger following than I did. With less than 5,000 people, what I started to do when I realized I wanted to raise capital, I started to demonstrate and showcase and really do case studies on real estate transactions I'd done in the past where average people were able to make money. They were able to put their money in and get double-digit returns. Non-accredited investors, people with W-2s, people who were looking to get their first deal, people who had money sitting on the sideline. I started to leverage my social media and become very intentional about sharing this sort of information, this sort of message. And as a result, the sort of conversations that began to pop up in my DM, the sort of conversations that began to happen when I was out in public at meetups, it started to be around the thing I was searching for, almost as if it was like the law of attraction working. Guys, the law of attraction works, and you hold it in your hand most of the day. That's social media. This is the law of attraction. But again, if we're just posting and we're not being intentional, and my post has nothing to do with anything, what happens is I start to confuse the marketplace. I start to confuse my friends and family. I'm not even going to call them friends and family anymore. I start to confuse my future JV partners. I start to confuse my future lenders. I start to confuse my future clients. I don't want to confuse them. I want to speak very clearly to them. So last year, again, when I decided I'm going to make more money, I'm going to buy more properties, I posted more case studies about my deals. And interestingly enough, I was able to raise, I think before February was over, I had already raised an additional $500,000. That was injected directly into purchasing real estate. And those properties are in my portfolio as of today. As of today, I increased my portfolio. I think I bought 3 properties before February even started, I closed on 3 properties last year. Directly as a result of social media. Those deals, I did not have the cash to buy those deals last year. Not personally. I did not have the money on hand. I want to emphasize the power of this because, again, some people are still sleeping on it. And here's the funny thing. Sam, they're sleeping on social media, but they're on it. How do I know? You both have 100 million leads, right? The book from Alex Hormozy. Right? I know, Sam, you've given away a ton of copies of those to people. You've blessed so many people with that book. What was interesting was in that book, it spoke about a strategy of DMing, right? Direct messaging your audience. And so I decided, that sounds great. I'm going to do this. And I did a dummy task of I started DMing I told everybody I was going to DM all of them. And I started DMing literally all of the people that follow me on Instagram. And Sam, I was coming across pages that I thought, oh, maybe this is a bot page because there's no post and the page has been here for 2 years. Maybe this is a bot page because there's no picture. Maybe this is a bot page because there's one post from 2017. But you know what? They said DM every page. So I DM'd the pages that even seemed like bots. And guess what? People responded immediately. And they were actually there. And what blew my mind was how quickly they responded. Because what does that tell me? If a person responds that quickly, what's it mean? It means they're on the app right now. And when you're on the app and I see that you have nothing on your page, you are a consumer, not a producer. And there's nothing wrong with being a consumer. However, as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, you need to be more of a producer. I want you to be a prosumer. You consume and produce. You consume to produce. Right? This is how we keep the flow going. So that blew my mind to see how many people were on social media not posting. And if some of you are feeling some type of way right now as I'm saying this, excellent. I want this to rattle something up inside of you that makes you think, should I be posting more? The answer is yes. But what should you be posting? How should you be posting? Those are the questions you should be asking yourself. Because once you start asking yourself those questions, and not to say the answer is going to instantly come to you, and I'm not going to tell you right now that on this episode that I'm going to tell you exactly what to post because I don't know your situation, but I do know what question you need to be asking yourself. What do I want to get out of social media? And if you're confused, if the word social media continues to scare you, just imagine this. Imagine you were in a room full of 1,000 strangers that could help your business grow in any form or capacity, depending on whatever your business needed. What I would have you ask yourself is, what do I need to get from this room to make having been inside of this space a valuable worth of time? If I went to a meetup, if I went to a networking event, what is it that I wanted to leave the room with that would have made me say, yes, this was so worth getting into my car and driving out for 2 hours to get to this event? Social media is even easier than that, but that's the perspective. Because I think when we crushed it down to zeros and ones and we put it on a 2-dimensional screen, we forgot the fact that 2, 3, 15 views you get on your post, those are 14 people. If you took every view that you got on a post, if you got every like, every comment that you got on a post, and you imagine that as an actual person standing with you in your bedroom, you would be overwhelmed by the feedback you get every time you post something. So I just want to frame that. What's up, Sam?
I need to hit this. I need to freaking hit this because you said the best thing ever. A lot of people think that social media is only powerful when you have 25,000 or 2 million or 500,000 followers. But the reality is, I want people to understand this. The niche that we're in is one of the most powerful niches in industry. Why is it that Kylie Jenner needs to have 1 billion followers to build $1 billion empire? Because the transactions that she's doing with her makeup, they're small. They're small. You guys aren't selling $5 makeup products, $10 makeup products, where you only have a profit margin of $2 after all is said and done. You're doing real estate transactions. You're buying millions of dollars of property. So I want people to understand that the follower count actually doesn't freaking matter. And between the three of us, I have the smallest following by far. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I've done over $100,000 in revenue in 1 month just from social media. and at the time that I did it, I think I had less than 2,000 followers too. So I want to hit that. Guys, understand that you're in the game of quality, not quantity. So don't stress about the quantity. People are like, Marlon, I know this. People are they're sitting where I had this feeling too, where I only had 1,800 or 2,000 followers. So I'm like, dude, how the hell am I gonna buy millions of dollars of real estate or do more deals or get millions of dollars in capital? And funny enough, I realized that my 1,800 followers, Marlon, were more potent and more powerful than someone else's 100,000 followers. So I want you guys to realize that the industry you're in is one of the best ones to be in. So I had to say that, Marlon. I'm so sorry. Take it back.
Well, no, and no, that's good because I want to have this conversation with the both of you because I know for a fact both of you have experienced this, which is as a result of your social media. I want to move away now from people because some people they start to get overwhelmed as well, thinking, well, how do I directly monetize social media? I don't have a product to sell, and my business is still, I haven't done my first deal yet, and the things, right? All the excuses. So I want to talk about a different way social media has been directly leveraging my experience in business, my experience in real estate, and my life as a whole, which is Sam and Alejandro. Have you two, as of late, ever at any point stepped into a room where you were greeted by strangers who already knew you? Either one of you had that experience?
Bro, that has been the theme for my last week and a half. We've been on the California tour. In a span of 6 or 7 days, I spoke in San Francisco, San Diego, Huntington Beach, and then in West Hollywood. And I had to share this with you guys. I haven't yet, but I wanted to say it here tonight. I counted. I had 18 people I've never met in my life come up to me, and they didn't say they were a fan of me. They said they were a fan of the Think Big podcast, and they watch it every freaking week. So I had to share that absolutely all the time, and it's one of the greatest feelings ever.
Yeah, I get the same thing as well, Marlon. I mean, anywhere I go, really, especially when it comes to real estate, I'll have random people just saying, "Hey, thank you so much for doing those videos," and I'm like, "What videos? What are you talking about?" They're like, "Yeah, dude, the Think Big every Tuesday," and it's crazy. It's like it'll be the people that they never put a comment on there on the chat, but they religiously watch the Think Big podcast every single time. You know, so whether we have like 30, 50 people in here, 100 people, there's always going to be that really strong niche that we are always targeting and always following us.
Yep. So let's look at that, right? Everyone that's listening right now, Sam just said it, Alejandro just said it, and I've also experienced it where we step into rooms. People, imagine this, right? Just like imagine, close your eyes and think about you walk into a room and you are brand new inside of this space. But when you walk in, you are greeted by friendly faces who already recognize you. They already know a little bit about you. They know a little bit about your core values. They know what you're wanting to do, and they are wanting to help you. Now, imagine you were in that room and you were looking for a favor. You were looking for somebody to partner with. You were looking for something. You no longer have to work on building rapport as hard as a true stranger. Social media essentially is this shortcut. It's an amplifier to rapport building at scale. This is, in my opinion, my favorite thing about social media is the fact that inside of my niche, inside of my realm, inside of my industry, I become and I'm not saying this as like a braggadocious way. I'm saying this as an observation, a small local celebrity in the rooms where I need to be valued. I'm going to say that again. I become a small local celebrity in the rooms where I need to be valued. See, if I walk into my grocery store, right, I go to Trader Joe's up the road, nobody gives a flying duck about me. And I love that because I like going to Trader Joe's. I like just kind of grabbing my stuff, wearing my hoodie. I got my pants with my holes on them. Like I'm just like another random nobody dude in Trader Joe's. I love it. However, when I go to a meetup and I'm still a little nervous because it is what it is, right? Like I'm still human. I'm still allowed to get nervous about things. And as soon as I walk in the room, the same way you guys are nervous, my nerves are immediately relieved and alleviated because you walk up to me already and you say hi and you greet me with a smile because you've already interacted with me several hundred times on social media through my content, through my post. Now I'm already at ease. And now if I have an ask, right? Hey guys, I need anyone got a deal in Phoenix? People are shooting their hands up. They want to work with me. I already have instant credibility because they've been seeing me go through the process. They've been seeing me work on the things. I've been intentional about what part of me that I show them. I show the responsible side of me. I show the side of me that gets out of bed early. I show the side of me that underwrites the deal. I show the side of me that owns up to his mistakes. So now instantly they're like, I want to work with that dude. In fact, there's value in them doing a deal with me for no other reason except for it fulfills some internal desire to be associated with somebody that they consider a friend. Because it's so powerful. Could I share with y'all a little secret that I learned? And this is something that I don't think anybody who creates content would ever even say this, because I'm just going to say it, right? Like I've already kind of like started reaching my hand in the bag. So y'all are like, what is he about to say? I learned this little, and you guys know I'm the mindset guy, right? Mindset Marlon. I'm constantly understanding how the mind works, the psychology there. And what I found was, have you ever listened to a song that maybe you didn't like? And maybe it was a song that was just playing on the radio over and over and over. And at first you're like, man, this song sucks. But it keeps playing on the radio and you can't help but hear it over and over. Maybe it's a Christmas jingle, and every time you walk into the mall, it's playing again. And you get into the car and it's playing again. And you're at Hollister and it's playing again. And you're at CVS and Starbucks and everywhere it's playing. And before you know it, you start humming along to the words. You start to know the words. And not only do you start to know the words, you actually start to enjoy the tune a little bit. And now this song has somehow made it into your life and it's become an enjoyable jingle. But you remember that when you first heard it, you did not like it. The reason that occurs is because when the human brain is exposed to a certain stimulus, mainly a sound and a sight, over and over and over and over again. In fact, 7 hours seems to be the threshold, the barrier where this thing will occur, that after the 7-hour mark of spending time with a stimulus, spending time with an audio, spending time with a visual, the human brain will begin to associate that thing not only as friendly, but as my friend, right? Like my best friend. So here's what starts to happen. Why am I telling you all this? I've met people in person where on our first meeting, the energy I start to feel from them is almost like have we been best friends for a long time? Like I'm feeling the way they're looking at me, the way they're willing, like just there's this friendliness, like we're family, which I love, by the way, but even more so than just we're a part of a community. It's like, no, there's a connection between you and I feel it heavily from your side, which I'm grateful for. But why am I feeling this? And as we start to get into a conversation, they start to explain to me, they start to say, hey, Marlon, by the way, first off, thank you. I've been watching all your YouTube videos. I've been watching all the Zoom videos that you have inside of the Zoom vault and the recordings and this. And like, I've gone through everything. And I'm like, everything? They're like, everything. I'm like, that's like 20 hours. They're like, no, it's more like 34. I'm like, whoa, you counted. And now it starts to make sense. Because they spent so much time with me online, immediately, I have a new best friend in the world. Some of you can be doing this. In fact, Brenda, I see Brenda in the chat. Brenda's been phenomenal recently about making her presence known online. I see her in her meetups. She's constantly posting. She's constantly putting herself out there where people are engaging with digital Brenda every single day. The people inside of our networks, the other investors, the other entrepreneurs, they're constantly engaging with Brenda. So guess what? We're all Brenda's best friend. Like I feel like Brenda's my best friend, and Brenda and I have only hung out in person one time. Yet I feel like Brenda is my best friend because I've engaged with her content for hours and hours and hours through Facebook, through Instagram. You all have the ability and capacity to do the same thing with your own personal network. And the reason it should matter to you is because the people in your personal network, you all have I would say probably $1 to $3 million of private capital sitting in your network right now between friends and family. You probably have somebody whose aunt has a property that they need to sell. You probably have your next JV partner inside of your Facebook friends right now, following you on Instagram. That person from high school that you thought you would never talk to again has probably become a financial advisor, and you're really probably 2 or 3 degrees of separation away from anybody that you need in order to 10x your business. But they have no way of knowing what you're up to because you haven't been intentional about spreading your message, and you only talk to the people who you only ever see on your regular routine, and you're locked into this track. So you're only going to ever continue to see the same people. But when you get on social media, this allows your likeness, your clone, your images to be spread off of the track and to go, I wish I had a pencil and a paper right now so I can draw for y'all so you can capture the image of how powerful this device is. Only if we use it intentionally, however. So I'm going to pass the mic over to Sam and Alejandro, because if I don't, I will just keep going deep about this. In fact, Sam or Alejandro, one of you, by next week, we need to show me how to connect my iPad to StreamYard, because there are so many things I want to draw. And I don't want to try and figure it out on this call, but next week, like at the end of today's episode, that's like mission critical. We need to figure out how to make this happen on the screen.
Gotcha, brother. Do you have you thought about getting an ATEM meeting?
I got no idea what that is, but we'll probably talk about that after the episode if that involves the drawing on the screen.
All right, let's do it.
Because what I want to know for y'all is, at what point did it start? Oh, so Sasha's comment is hilarious, right? She says, I've only known Sam through my phone, but consider him my BFF and best biz partner ever. Right? Like, that is freaking awesome, right? Because that's what social media gives us the power to do. Like Sam and Sasha are absolutely out there destroying the real estate game right now with just dispoing, helping people get their first deals done, moving deals, helping homeowners get properties sold. And they met as a result of Sam making posts online, not even a lot, but Sam made up for he didn't put out a lot of quantity. He put out the highest level of quality. Sam he's like the artist, like he's like the Leonardo da Vinci of posting content, right? It doesn't come out often, but when it does come out, it is the highest tier production. It is the most value. I can't even say production, right? Because he uses his like iPhone. Right? He used to use his Android, but the value of what you get from what he says when he opens his mouth, what he shows when he shares his screen, there's no one else doing it at that level. And as a result, you were able to attract talent, some of the best talent in the game. You were able to get Sasha on your team. And the two of you, if you only relied on who you were seeing in your day-to-day, your team would only be you, your brothers, and your dogs.
It's so funny. That's so true. Yeah, man. And I want to highlight that, guys. I've been hanging around. I went on tour, and someone that I've been on tour with last week and a half. They're huge on content, right? Everything is a reel. Everything is a social media moment. And the reality is this: they're pumping out tons of volume, and it's working for them. I put out maybe 1/90th of what they do, but I get 10x the results that they do. So just know that multiple ways of playing the game are equally viable. You just have to do what resonates with you. And I think the most important thing, and Marlon, I don't think we've touched on this so far, when you guys go down this route, don't pick the route that's the best route objectively for anybody. Pick the route that you can sustain. Pick the route that you feel fulfillment with. Marlon isn't the mindset guy because he sees a need in the marketplace for people talking about mindset. He's the mindset guy because he freaking loves it. He loves it. That's the thing that he loves talking about. He loves pouring into people about. Me, I don't talk about scaling businesses at an extremely high level because I see a need for it in the marketplace, even though there is one. The reality is it's the only thing that I like talking about. And if I didn't do that, I would throw a gigantic webinar only talking about my dogs. And the reality is probably not a lot of people would show up for that. But I want to give people some tangible stuff, right? Look at me and Sasha. I'm going to share some game with y'all. Sasha and I in 2024, we're going to scale up a heavy amount of the deals that we do. And a lot of these deals are going to be coming directly from social media. The number one reason is because people want to work, not with me, but with me and Sasha together. Because we know exactly what to do. We know how to crush deals. We've positioned ourselves as authorities in industry, not even at the highest level, but at a high enough level where people want to work with us. So we have tons of new people who are getting their first deals, who basically lucked their way or they gritted their way to their first contract. They have no freaking clue what to do next. The reality is Sasha's the first person who's on their feed showing up saying, hey, I am here to help you. Sasha's not there unintentionally. I'm not there unintentionally. And I want you guys to start paying attention to this. I'm going to openly talk about this. You will see me this year talk so much about Sasha. Why? Because she's one of the best partners I've ever had. But two, because we understand how to leverage social media. We're probably going to make minimum, I would say minimum, $350,000 to $500,000 this year in assignment fees just through JV dispositions. But more importantly for me, what Sasha's going to do for myself and for her, she and I are going to buy millions of dollars of real estate this year. My goal is to do 100 units bought this year in my portfolio, 100 new doors in my portfolio. And then I would imagine that probably 50% of that's going to come directly from social media, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. If you've ever been on my master classes, you're going to see it all unfold. Sasha and I, we had a 2.5 hour call earlier this month, game planning on an iPad, whiteboarding out what this cadence would look like. Because we're not just posting on social media just to post. We're not just doing it to share our lives. We're doing it because A, we have opportunity for other people, and B, we can help other people capitalize on the opportunity that they have that they may not be able to already. So some consensus points that I want to hit on, right? You don't need a massive following. You don't. You don't need to post 1 million times a week. I only effectively post on Instagram stories, and honestly, I've got some of the sickest engagement rates out of anybody. Some of my mentors are some of the biggest influencers in this industry, and I went over social media metrics with them. They have bigger followings. Sure, they make more money than me, but the potency of their following is so much more diluted because they're at this volume play. And I also want people to understand this because Marlon, Alejandro, the reality is people think that becoming a content creator and being intentional with your social media, they think that it means freaking dancing in a room and like lip syncing to songs. I don't think I've ever seen Marlon do that. And I can guarantee I'm probably never going to see Alejandro do that. And you sure as hell will never see me do that. But the reality is all three of us are going to keep leveraging social media the right way. And I want people to follow a system. Marlon, is okay if I give them a template that influencers will never give away on how to be more relatable, more effective with social media? Can I share some secret sauce with these folks?
You beat it, Marlon.
Bro,
knowing Marlon, he's never going to say no to that.
I said, let's give it all away. Like, let's give everything away. Okay. So I had a call yesterday or the day before with a friend who's becoming an influencer. And this person has a product, a course, a thing that they want to make a ton of money on social media, but they don't know how to structure it. They're just like, hey, man, I'm just posting the post. And if something sticks, great. I don't know why. I don't know how. I have no idea what I'm doing. And then I said, hey, the reality is Instagram. Let's talk about Instagram specifically. I'm going to give you a template where I want you guys to follow this. Okay. And if you enact this template, you will win whatever it is you want. So step one. Okay. Yeah, Hillary, 100% tag us in that, please. So step one, you got to know what you want. Got to know what you want. Is it money? Is it deals? Is it JVs? Is it I want to dispo someone else's deal? Or I'm a good closer and I want to close someone's lead? What is it? Know what it is that you want. Well, maybe you want to buy real estate. Maybe you want a gator lend, right? Whatever the hell it is, know all of it. Once you know it, you're going to do something
really interesting with your Instagram stories specifically. Okay, this is step 2. Now you're going to start posting, and I'm going to give you the step-by-step process, just in a very loose term on how to succeed with it. Step 1 is you need to identify a problem. The problem that your audience base is going through, right? Let's say you're a private money lender and you want to lend your money out to someone. Okay, you're going to address a problem. Hey, I just spoke to so-and-so wholesaler. I just spoke to this person. I just spoke to that person, and they've got the best deal on their hands. It is phenomenal. They want to keep it because it'll give, $300 a month and build wealth for their families, but they can't capitalize on it. Why? Because that new wholesaler who has an amazing deal is new to the industry and they're broke. So step 2 is you've identified a problem that your audience can resonate with, right? You want people in your audience base, when they're consuming your content, when they're going through it, to say, hey, I'm going through that problem right now. The second that you have that, you've got them. They're paying attention, right? Attention is a scarce and limited resource. Just because they're viewing your stories does not mean they're paying attention. It is a resource. It's a commodity. We only have so much of it. That is why it is called paying attention. You have to pay with it. Once you have that, they have bought into you. They've bought into your story. Okay. Step 3 is you need to become familiar. They need to be able to trust you. They need to be able to have rapport with you. So the next step is, once you've identified the problem, show how you can help relate to the problem. You can understand and you can help these people move forward. I just spoke to this wholesaler. They have a phenomenal deal, right? I remember when I was a wholesaler and I had my first great deal and I didn't have any money at all. Guess what? You've now become familiar. You've become relatable. You have rapport. It's a mirror process. It's a mirroring process. That's step 3. Step 4 is basically, it's going to end with what we call a CTA in the world of being influencers, a call to action. That call to action can be anything. It can be a direct message. It can be, if you're a product salesman, it could be selling your product, or it could just be, here's my calendar, let's book a call and let's talk. But if you're a lender and you want to help these wholesalers, your next thing is, hey, here's a problem. Here's how I related to it. Here's how I've overcome the problem. And here's how I'm going to help you do it next. And this is very loose, guys. The reality in the world of influencership, they go through the roof with this science. We don't have all the time in the world to do it today. Maybe that's another call for another day. But follow this and end it with a CTA. Showcase to them that, yes, I know what you're going through, been there, done that, helped it. I'm an authority. And most importantly, come talk to me about it. Because if you never do that, they will never follow through. I think we've all seen it. We're all hyper intentional with our social medias. We can address the problem every single day. We can build rapport with it every single day. We can show that we're experts in it. But the reality is, unless you tell them to reach out to you, they never will. There are some people who need it drilled in their heads. Follow this process. Do it over the course of 2 to 3 Instagram stories, right? Just back to back to back. I promise you, within 1 to 2 weeks of doing this, you will get whatever the hell it is that you want. Whether it's deals sent to you, whether it's a JV, whether it's some private money. I mean, hell, I'm tempted to do this on a masterclass deep dive on the highest level and probably set a ridiculous goal. Like, I want to raise $1 million in private money through Instagram stories alone with my tiny following. And what I'll probably do is follow this step-by-step process. And I can guarantee I'd probably raise $1 million within 1 to 2 weeks minimum.
So Sam, what I love about this is, as you were sharing that, I was scrolling through my Instagram, because your steps are exactly spot on. And I was scrolling through my Instagram and I was looking for some of the posts I've done where I've followed this exact thing. When I've raised money, I've raised it primarily on Facebook and through Instagram stories. There's only one post on my Instagram that was like an actual post where I followed this framework, and I just dropped the link inside of the side for people to see. So that one I did it for, that was for my coaching business. It wasn't for my real estate business. However, it's the exact same framework. So go inside there and watch that post that I did, and you'll actually see exactly what Sam says. The step thing was, first, I knew what I wanted. I knew that I was wanting to onboard some new coaching clients within my program. Step 2, I knew the problem my clients were having. I knew the problem the audience was having, and I spoke directly to that problem. I literally started the conversation with that problem. In fact, would it be helpful if I just share my screen? Should I just run would that be? I'm gonna just run that. Like, guys, I'm not. By the way, I'm not literally. If any of you reach out, like, I'm not signing up anybody for coaching right now. Like, my coaching is filled. Nobody can buy it. You cannot sign up for it. Do not reach out to me and ask for coaching right now. The answer is no. So I want to just show this with y'all, share this with y'all, because this was so freaking good. Look at this. All right. I'm going to restart it from the beginning and tell me if they can hear the audio. Oh, I don't think you're going to be able to hear the audio. Oh, no way. You won't be able to hear the audio. Okay. You guys are just going to have to go and watch this post on your own.
I think you have to unclick the volume button, brother.
I already did it. It won't let me. It says the song is currently unavailable. So I think what happened with that post, unfortunately, there's probably a song on Instagram that some knucklehead did something with, and that song is now banned, making my audio unavailable on that post. But the text is still there. So if you have the attention span, read the text. The video is less than a minute long. Read the text and read the words on the screen. And you'll see I did exactly what Sam said. I knew what I want. I got clear on the problem the audience was having, which in this case, these were people that had purchased mentorship programs, in particular real estate mentorship programs. They had all the resource, they had all the information and all the contracts, and it's been months, and yet they still haven't been able to produce a result. When a person has all the resources and can't produce a result, I know it's not a resource issue, it's a mindset issue, right? They're missing resourcefulness. And so that's something we got to deal with. From there, I demonstrate the expertise. I start to actually show them how I had this exact same problem, and then I overcame it. And then I gave them a call to action. I said, listen, if anything that I said resonated with you, if this sounds like you and the problem you're dealing with, do me a favor, DM me the word mindset. And I told them exactly what to do. It wasn't hit me up. It wasn't come talk. It was DM me the word mindset, right? Send me a direct message, mindset. And that was the next action that they had to take. So you want to get intentional about this with your social media. I know some of you are thinking, like, do I really have to take it that serious? Yes. Yes. The answer is yes. Because if something is worth doing, it's worth doing right. All right. So I get fired up about this kind of stuff.
That was so good. That was so freaking good, dude. You know what I want people to do is this, guys. I want you to start paying more attention. Pay attention to your favorite influencers, right? And not us, because we're not we're great, but we're not as dialed in as some of these guys. Some of these guys have teams and brand agencies who have all of this down to a science, right?
Yeah. Can we just emphasize the fact that, like, as far as like influencers go, like, we are literally nobodies.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, completely.
Like, I want to highlight, and this is why I think it's cool that we're the ones talking about this tonight, because we don't have 1,000 followers, like thousands and thousands of followers. We don't have, like, I don't know about you guys, but I spend no money on my social media. Like, I have 2 employees for my my social media accounts. I will admit. Employee number 1, employee number 2. These are my employees, right? Like, these are they are here. So these are the only 2 employees I have right now. And will I hire people? Absolutely. I'm currently working on onboarding social media team. I'm working on bringing on a marketing team because I've already seen such high returns from these 2 guys. So I'm like, wow, what happens if I get if I go and get these guys to get friends? Yeah, like, we are exploding. We will explode. However, for where everyone else is at, recognize you can start with what you have, even if you don't think anyone's following you. Let's not guess. Let's find out. If you truly have the weakest, wackest, like Marlon, there is nobody in my social media, there's nobody in my network that can bring me any form of value that can help my business. Just humor me. Let's find out. Start getting intentional. Follow the steps that Sam mentioned. And if at the end of you doing that, if you can tell me that, hey, you've honestly given it a full attempt. You can show me the post you made. You can show me the intentionality behind why you made that post, why you worded it that way, that you truly, there was a thought process behind it, and that you put it out and it still wasn't engaging. Reach out, like DM me. You could DM me one-on-one and I will help you. Again, I'm not a social media guru by any means. I'm not going to charge you for this. I just want to see you win. I think you all that watch this show you understand that myself, Sam, and Alejandro, we just want to see you win. And Sam, maybe, and Alejandro, maybe like we do a Zoom. Like, I think it'd be super fun to do a Zoom. And I would love to do. In fact, what would be really cool, and maybe I could convince you to do this, Sam, is for my MMC community, that I get you to come in there and like I just get all the people from my MMC community, and then we also open it up to like everyone that watches the Think Big podcast, and we just do like this awesome bonus Zoom at the time where I would normally be running like my MMC call. That way, because like I know scheduling can be hard sometimes, and usually we don't get to do as many things as we want to do just because of we have businesses to run, we have things to do, like we're traveling, but that's something that I'm always able to make time for because I always make time for my community. What if we can do something like that? You think you'd be open to that? Like we talk about that offline?
I would be absolutely freaking honored. That sounds like an amazing time.
Dude, heck freaking yeah. And the people that are listening, like everyone in the audience, it's like 30 something of y'all hanging out in the audience tonight. Like how many of you would be down to do something like that? Do me a favor, comment in the chat saying me if you would be interested in hopping into a Zoom, right? This isn't going to be this isn't like a paid thing. This isn't a webinar. This is literally, we want to see y'all win. Like I want to see who would be interested in jumping into a Zoom where we can, I'll finally be able to use this iPad. I'd be able to pull up, like I'll actually sit down and almost like curriculum this, where I will go in and I will get everything templated out, pre-made, ready, so we can jump into it. And it just could be boom, 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 examples. We understand the importance. And then we can give you the framework to actually just start implementing right away, because information without implementation is only going to lead to frustration. Dude, I'm seeing a lot of me's in the chat, so I'm hyped about this. I also want to see some of my favorite names. What's up, Jackie? Dude, we get to hang out with Jackie this week, bro. How lucky are we?
Bro, can I tell the people about what we're doing this week?
Please, dude. Please.
Okay. So, guys, some of you guys know we're all best friends here. But Marlon and I like to do this really weird thing where you know how you guys we all do this with our friends. We always talk about, hey, wouldn't it be amazing for us to just pick up and travel the country together and see new things and see new places and do all this dope shit? And then you guys talk about it and then talk about it again and then talk about it again and then maybe one more time. And eventually you stop talking about it because it never comes to reality. The reality is Marlon and I have an amazing hack for traveling across the country, and we share stages together all the freaking time. And I mean, we've spoken together in Orlando, Jacksonville, Phoenix, Vegas, Puerto Rico, so many, I'm forgetting places, Tampa, I'm forgetting so many spots. The reality is we've spoken together across the country. We're going to keep doing it again more and more and more. And our next one starts this week. Thursday, Marlon and I are going to be flying to Florida. We're going to be flying to Tampa, Florida. We're going to spend the weekend there at an amazing mastermind that takes experiential to a new definition, to a new level. So you don't have to do it. You do not have to do it, but we will be jumping out of planes. And then Marlon, myself, and a few of our close friends have all decided that we're going to do something really kind of insane. And we're going to jump out of the plane on our own, like no person on our back holding us together. Like we're going to do it on our own. We're going to jump out of planes and then we're going to speak on stage. Marlon's going to drop some game about how to take your mindset to the next level so you can crush in entrepreneurship and as a human being and as a business owner. And then I'm going to speak a lot about the real secrets behind the scenes of running a true $1 million a year real estate investment business. So if you are available in Florida, you're not going to go to the beach. You're not going to go to the club. You're not going to go do any of that stuff. You're going to be hanging out with us. Come to the event. Marlon, the event's free, right?
The event is abso-freaking-lutely free.
Boom. The event is free, January 20th to the 21st. Come out. It's a 2-day event. Marlon and I we have the tremendous honor of closing out the event. We are the last 2 speakers. It means the world to both of us. Come meet us, come spend time with us, come break bread. And then Marlon, you want to tell them about what we're going to do after the Florida trip? Because there's more opportunity for people outside of Florida to meet us.
Oh yeah. So after the Florida trip, this is fun. I'm working on finagling some things because many of you know that in March 1st, man, it's going to be such an epic year, 2024. March 1st, I'm going to be running across America with my buddy Andrew Linder. It's going to be a crew of us. And so in order to do that, we went and purchased, all right, I got a RV. I purchased an RV sub 2. Shout out to creative financing. Shout out to Pace Morby for teaching us that creative finance method. So picking up an RV sub 2, and I actually have my dad. My dad lives in Georgia. He's going to be driving the RV down to Florida, where Sam and I will be skydiving. We'll be jumping out of an airplane. I'm going to do my best to actually try and fly my parachute into the RV while it's landing, some Rico Suave-esque stuff. And then Sam, myself, and Caroline Kane are going to be taking that RV. I wish I could put my face on the side of it. That'd be hilarious. We're going to be taking it and we're going to be touring across the U.S., making a stop in Houston where we will be doing a meetup. I was talking to Jeff Smith earlier today. He runs a massive community out there in Houston. Some of you are familiar with that. And we're going to be doing a meetup next week. We're shooting for Wednesday. Now, our schedule is flexible, or I should say, it's moving based on how we're moving, but Wednesday is the day we're aiming for. And then we will continue to drive on through. We're going to get to Arizona, where I actually have a mastermind I'm going to, and I'm attending that Friday. This one's actually a private mastermind for another community, because I'm always learning different skills. I practice what I preach. Y'all talk about, you hear us talking about getting into those rooms. And some of you know I have my own mastermind that's happening in February, where people are coming to my mastermind. Well, I'm going to other people's masterminds, right? Like, I pay to get into different rooms to be around different people. And I got to be honest, one more, just because we're talking about social media, I will admit there have been times where I've gotten into masterminds that are, multiple thousands of dollars, $5,000, $10,000, $12,000 to get in the room for the weekend, that I've been invited into freely, only as a matter of having a social media presence and somebody becoming friends with me online and bringing me into the room saying, get in here. Right. And I know Sam's experienced this. I know it's Alejandro's spoken on stages at masterminds as a result of social media. So that's going to be happening next week. If you want to be a part of that, here's the best way to stay up to date. I use my social media, my Instagram in particular, as announcing where I'm at, what I'm doing, what's going on. Sam does the exact same thing. Follow me, follow Sam, follow Alejandro, follow all the 3 of us on the screen. Our Instagram tags are right there. Make sure that if you are following us, turn on the notification so that when we make a story post, that you actually see it. Or even better, just go and like something. I'm seriously, this isn't for me. I'm going to teach you how to make your algorithm show you what you want it to see. When you start following someone new and you're like, hey, I want to see more of their account and I don't want it to get flooded out by all the other crap, go onto their page quickly and just like a couple of random pictures, like random posts. It literally doesn't matter. Just go like a couple of posts and then go and leave a comment on one of them. Because when you do this, the algorithm's going to say, hey, you like seeing this person's stuff. The next time they post anything, when they have a story, we're going to update your newsfeed to highlight them. So this makes it easier that no one ever has to say, I wish I knew you were coming to Houston. Wait, why didn't you tell me you were going to be in Florida? I did. It was on my social media. It was on my Instagram. I did tell you. This is how I communicate. This is my way of communicating. My love language to talk to you is through my social media. So that's what's happening next week. I'm beyond excited. And then the following weekend, February 2nd, can I make one more announcement? Actually, February 2nd, I didn't even wait for permission. I'm just, February 2nd, I'm doing the Mind Over Matter Mastermind here at the Mindset Manor, which I am beyond stoked about. In fact, the more people I talk to who are coming out, the more excited I start getting. So I'm amped up right now. Like Sam will be out here for it. Like it is going to be a fun freaking time. And what was really cool is last week, Ingrid and I, we were just brainstorming and we were like, how can we give more? And Ingrid was getting ready to interview Pace for her podcast. So we're just like in this like go-giver mentality. We're having a go-giver conversation. And we're like, what can we do to give more? And with that conversation, we decided, hey, what if we did a scholarship for the mastermind? What if we took somebody somebody who wants to come, who wants to be here, and who can't afford the price tag for whatever reason, and we say, you know what? We're opening it up for you. We're getting you here. You're taken care of. Everything's on us. And Ingrid went on and she was interviewing Pace on her podcast, and she shared with him what we were doing. And she said to him, like, yeah, we're going to give this away to somebody for free. And he said, no, the heck you are not. He said, you are too valuable. Y'all too valuable to be giving away stuff for free. He says, what's going to happen is I am sponsoring that ticket. And so we were blown away by that generosity. So we said, you know what? This is how we're going to figure out who gets the sponsorship. It's not going to be who reaches out to us. It's going to be who gets nominated. We want the rest of the audience to nominate a person. And the audience showed up, right? Our humble social media following, our communities showed up. And they voted for Catherine Martinez. And when I got to talk to Catherine, phenomenal human being. Catherine, so amazing. We love you. We're looking forward to hanging out with you. Catherine started to explain to me, she said, I've been in real estate for a little while, and I can't lie. I saw your mentorship. I saw your mastermind, and it felt like it was speaking directly to me because, to Sam's point, I knew my audience, and so I spoke about the pain. And she says, that's me. I'm lacking clarity right now. I feel all over the place. I feel like I'm in this, and there's so many Zooms, and there's so much of this, and so much is happening right now. And in my life, I'm a single mother, right? And Catherine said it was okay for me to share this. She said, I'm a single mother. My son's father passed away 4 years ago. We were together. And right now, between holding down a family business and also trying to make this real estate thing work, I'm all consumed at the computer. And it was the past weekend, that was a 3-day weekend. She said her son came to her, 5 years old. Said, Mom, why do you always have to be at the computer? He didn't understand that she's working on making a better life for the both of them. That she has to work, that there is no one else supporting her and supporting him. And she said, what I need more than anything else right now is some clarity, some support, and a little bit more guidance. And I almost started crying on that phone call. Because at that moment, I knew that we had the right person. So I'm more than excited to have Catherine coming out. She's going to be out here for the whole week. She's going to stay past the mastermind. We're going to hang out. We're going to dive deep into her business. We're going to do a hot seat. And then she's going to be going and hanging out she's going to hang out in Arizona even more for Golden Ticket, things of that nature. It's just going to be a fun time. And more than a fun time, it's going to be a life-changing experience. So, yeah, to Sam's point, we got some really exciting things coming up. And I want you all to be able to be a part of that, even if you can't be here physically, to be a part of it with us through social media, just like we've been talking about. Be a part of the journey, be a part of the growth. So that's all I wanted to share. And that was very much my call to action. Is hopefully that inspired you to understand why we do all of what we do. It's so that we can have these sort of moments where we get to be of service to another person. The reason we put in this work, the reason we start to figure these things out, the reason we ask these questions and we get so intentional is so at some point in our journey, we can finally be useful enough to be of service to someone else. Guys, I think we went a little long tonight.
Send it off, brother. Send it off. This is your show.
So, everybody, here's my call to action for you. It's going to be very simple. If you got value from tonight's podcast, make sure that you hit the like button because it truly, truly helps the algorithm. It helps us to be found by other people. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you have not already. If it's your first time here, be sure to subscribe and share this video on your social media. This could be one of the first social media posts that you make. Just screenshot this, make it a story, and simply tag myself, tag Alejandro, tag Sam. And that way we can connect. We can know, that's how I know Abraham's always on here. He's commenting, he shares, he tags us. Anthony Johnston constantly tagging us. Mac always tagging us, right? This is how we start to get connected with y'all, and it becomes a two-way street. It's no longer a one-way mirror. It's a two-way street. So we love you guys. Hope to see you back here next Tuesday for another episode of Think Big while Sam and myself are on the road. And yeah, episode 65 is going to be absolutely